Most of society has lost its account of seeking wisdom from God, reading wisdom literature, books like Job, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, because people are so focused on the New Testament, they forget that there is some really big things here in the Old Testament that honestly talk about Christ as well. See, there's a group in the United Kingdom named the Cloud Appreciation Society who spot clouds. Some people will say that this is necessary for us to do today, but the book of Job 38:37 says, "Who can number the clouds in wisdom? Or who can stay the bottles of heaven?" See, most of the world today, especially the Western civilization, has lost its touch. See, in world's history, people live their life in close touch with creation. You got some farmers and some monks today that still practice this discipline of the natural wonder. But here in the West, experiences like spotting clouds or counting the stars or watching the sun rise or set are very rare. And many people don't go to bed before the sun goes down. And many people wake up to TV news and bright lights instead of waking up when the light is dim and the birds are singing and the crickets are chirping. Now, I'm not saying that it's bad that we've had development in this world. Things have developed. We've become a more technological society. But the Western world has lost its touch with the vast and miraculous fact of God's created reality that surrounds us, that sustains us. Brothers and sisters, we need to be very careful. See, a lot of things are not on the Christian radar. They nudge off things that should be on the Christian radar because we look at things like, well, Christ died for me. I don't need to focus on what other parts of the Bible are talking about. And doing this, we get out of touch with the theological soundness of the wisdom literature because we're in these large, comfortable, sheltered, and gas heated homes with electricity, luxury automobiles, microwaves, computers, and cell phones have distanced us from the creation. And it's also distancing us from our focus on personal salvation. That's sad. You know, C.S. Lewis back in the day wrote a book called The Discarded Image. And he said that for us to understand the medieval view of the world, books will not help us. We need to go out on a starry night, walk for about half an hour, trying to see the sky in terms of the old cosmology to see how people lived back then and to understand this with Old Testament. You have to see in the Old Testament, people like Jacob or Moses, they had to embrace this old sense of harmony and wonder. Even their neighbors like Egypt and Mesopotamia, they didn't need a calendar to tell them what date it was. They had to pay attention to the things that were taking place to know it's harvest time, it's not harvest time, et cetera, right? Could you imagine in Hebrews' homes back in the Old Testament days that they would recap on the Genesis creation story, or they would sing countless psalms that sing of God's works in the sky, seas, earth, and animals and crops? Not only did these cultures live in touch with creation, but their religion was also intertwined with the view of the world. Very true. We look at things like this, and we need to realize that the Bible actually does give us big things to understand about wisdom. Look in Proverbs 3, verse 19. It says, "The Lord by wisdom hath founded the earth, by understanding hath he established the heavens." So the book of Proverbs tells us wisdom that God, the creator, Yahweh, founded the earth. That it is, this wisdom is intertwined into the very fabric of creation. And it is only as we are deeply in touch with the Lord that our eyes will be open to witness the marvel of his creation. It tells us that wisdom begins distinctively with the fear of the Lord. Proverbs 1:7 touches on this. It says, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction." Let's go to the book of Job, Job 28:28, where it reads, "And unto man he said, Behold, the fear of the Lord, that is wisdom, and to depart from evil is understanding." Now we can go to the book of Psalm 111 verse 10, where it reads, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and a good understanding have all they that do his commandments. His praise endureth forever." See, genuine wisdom will be found only when we recover God's design for his world. Because it is by wisdom that the Lord fashioned the earth, as Proverbs 3:19 said, but also the book of Psalm 104, verse 24, it reads, "O Lord, how manifold are thy works! In wisdom thou hast made them all. The earth is full of thy riches." It is the gift of wisdom that leads us back to living in harmony with God's created world. And that harmony is something that society is forgetting. After all, we don't want to be left to our own devices. Who would ever think that suffering is important for us to become wise? Or that death on a cross is the way to life and redemption? Or that the last will be first, but yet the Bible points to all of these as God's wisdom, which stands over the wisdom of the world. So we need to pursue God's wisdom. And that's what I'm hoping how the Lord uses me to teach and to preach, that I help people understand how key it is for us to not forget the wisdom that the Lord has taught in the Bible. May God bless you all, and much love.